Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
The lockdown in India affected each and every one, but some were more affected than the others. 123 Kilometers, The Long Journey Home is a book that chronicles the plight of migrant workers who were forced to leave the cities back to their hometown due to the nationwide lockdown. On the print soft cover, we are launching today 123 Kilometers, The Long Journey Home by journalist turned filmmaker Vinod Kapri, which has been published by HarperCollins. Do show the book to our viewers, Vinod. Thank you, and thank you for joining us. Well, a little
Thank
bit
you so
about
much, Neelam.
Yeah, a little bit about the book. Well, Vinod Kapri documents the plight of 7 migrant workers who defy all odds to reach their hometown in Bihar. The lockdown in India left thousands of migrant laborers like them without jobs, food, and home. And in a desperate bid to reach home, many took the long road home, which was often fatal also. So let's start with, how did this journey begin for you? When did you decide that you wanted to be a part of it and document it?
Actually, Neelam, when this lockdown was announced on 24th of March 2020, so uh, everyone is aware that it was it was a very sudden decision, and I was very curious to understand the plight of migrant laborers. At that night, also, I discussed with my friends, few of my friends, that what is going to happen with these migrant laborers, because these are the people who earn on daily basis and then they survive. And my fear came true when within 24 hours, I saw, at that point of time, it was 25th of March, when I saw hundreds of laborers en route. And then I saw one 20-second visual of a 14-year-old boy on a Twitter handle of NDTV. And one 14-year-old boy was crying at ISBT, and he was desperate to go back to his village. And in that particular video village, he was in that video clip, he was saying that he has no money, so he can't survive here, so he has to go to his village. That was the time I thought that, I should follow these people. I should keep track of these people. So 26th March onwards, I was on road. I live in Noida. My family is in Noida. So the places, Jhuggis near Noida, Ghaziabad, Delhi. I went to those Jhuggis. I started meeting people. I tried to help them monetarily or with ration, or whenever there is some issue with them, I started tweeting about it. And there was some very little response from the government.
Right.
So I was in touch with many hundreds of migrant laborers during that point of time. And it was 12th of April when I got a message on my Twitter that there are 30 laborers at Loni, Ghaziabad, and they are out of ration from from last 3 to 4 days. So I thought that I should help them. So there was one number when I contacted. So this guy Ritesh, who is one of the protagonists of this book, who is one of the laborer who traveled for 1232 kilometers, he picked up the phone and he discussed he told me about his plight, that they are completely out of ration. They are starving. So I asked him, so do you have a smartphone? He said yes. So I asked him, can you make a small video describing your plight or whatever situation you are facing? So he sent me that video. I immediately tweeted that video. And within few hours, we got response also from DM Ghaziabad and UP Police Helpline that we are going to help them. But help didn't reach them. And then with help of my friends, journalist friends, we provided some ration to them. I deposited some money in their account, and these 30 laborers were in touch with me. So after 4 days, it was 17th of April. Again, this guy Ritesh called me and he said, "Sir, ration khatm ho gaya, hum kya kare?" So I said, "Don't worry. I'll again deposit some money in account." So again, we tried to help them. But on 21st of April, when he called me, he said, "Sir, बार बार भीख मांगना अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, तो आप हमारे लिए कुछ ऐसा व्यवस्था कीजिए कि हम लोग यहाँ से चले जाए." So I tried to explain him that, "Ritesh, see, this is a lockdown. You can't move, and sorry, I can't help you in that front. I'll try to help you whatever I can, but तुमको मैं कहीं बाहर भेज नहीं सकता हूँ." Then it was 27th of April when I got a call from one of the people who were trying to help them कि सर वो राशन लेने से मना कर रहे हैं. So I was very surprised that why this guy is not taking a ration. So when I called Ritesh, so he said, "Sir, we don't need ration anymore." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because we have left for Saharsa." So I was surprised. I said, "How?" So he said, "हम लोग सर साइकिल से जा रहे हैं." मैं कहा, "साइकिल से? Do you know कितना दूर है वो?" So I immediately Googled it. I asked his village. He said, "Mohanpur, Saharsa, block Bamna Tehri." So I immediately Googled it and I said, "Ritesh, ये 1232 kilometer है. This is a journey of 1232 kilometers. Why are you taking risk of your life?" So he said, "सर अब यहाँ भी रहेंगे तो भूख से मर जाएंगे, कम से कम गांव तो जाएंगे." So when I asked him, "Where are you right now? What is your current location?" So he told me that he's at Braj Ghat, Garhmukteshwar, which is something around 70-80 odd kilometers from Delhi. So, and that was their first day. So that was the time I thought that, I should document this journey since I'm in touch with these people from 2 weeks and I know them. I never met them, but I was in touch with them through phone. So I thought that I should document this journey and people should understand that because till 12th of April, till 27th of April, we witnessed thousands of people were on road. So I thought that I should since I'm aware of about this group, so I should follow their journey and document this journey. So this is how it all started, Neelam.
So, but what was the process behind, telling the story of these migrant workers and lending your voice to it, but at the same time ensuring that you remained at a distance and, the spotlight remained on them? How did you, the technical part of it, how did you follow them? How did you go about it?
Yeah, actually, when Ritesh informed me that when I got to know that they have already left. So, and we all are aware that lockdown was also imposed at that point of time. So it was very tough for me to arrange a camera crew for myself to shoot this entire journey. So I spoke to a few people, a few DOPs, the cameraman with whom I used to work. So he was kind of reluctant because he was also scared about this corona and all, and we were not getting any help car from any vendor. We were not getting any equipment from any supplier. So I had one camera at my home with a professional camera, which I always keep with me. But I'm not a camera guy. So we tried to within few hours, we spoke to few friends of ours, and we tried to understand how the camera works. And we were also confident that if this camera is not going to help we are not going to operate this camera well. So we have a 4K iPhone with a 4K footage, so we can use that iPhone also. And
right.
We had one microphone, so we thought, okay, this document is about since this journey is very important, so documenting this journey is important. We just don't need to focus about the camera frame, but we just need to ensure a reasonable good audio and video quality. That's the only thing we need to focus on. And then I discussed with my assistant. So he said, okay, let's go, let's do it. So we were two, and we took our own car, and we decided to document this journey. We have, and from that point of time, we were very sure that this is not going to be a journey of 7 migrant laborers. We were very sure that now this is going to be a journey of 9 people, nine migrant laborers. And we set some rules. And one of them was that we are not going to do anything during this journey. We are not going to do anything which will hamper their journey, because they were risking their lives. And we as a storyteller, we as a journalist, or we as a filmmaker, whenever we shoot something, we normally, in a normal situation, we ask people, sometimes, not every time, sometimes we ask people to, whenever we miss those moments, we ask people to recreate that, or
Right.
we kind of retake, retake, we try to set up our frame creatively, and then we try to shoot that. So this was the very important decision which we took, that come what may, whatever we may miss, but we are not going to tell them that, see, can you do just this for us? So that was very clear in our minds. Secondly, we decided that we will shoot only for 10 minutes. Every 2 hours, we will shoot only for 10 minutes with them. We'll maintain a reasonable distance with them. And third, we decided that we will not be a mute spectator. Yes, for a filmmaker or for a storyteller, it is a very good situation if you see that your characters are in pain or they are suffering, and you are, at that time, you get amazing visuals, amazing content for your story or your film. But we thought that we are not going to do that. If these people, during this journey, if these people are suffering, or they are ill, they are hungry, we are definitely going to help them. And this was our third set rule, that the human lives are important, not this documentary. Yes, we want to document this journey, but not at the cost of their lives. So that's it.
The government's narrative so far has been that the pandemic, the first wave, was handled quite well. So when you have a government which is saying that it has been handled so well, and you on the other hand are showing another side to it completely, was there any apprehension in your mind before you took on this project?
Yeah. Only one apprehension was in my mind, Neelam, and which was that if I'm able to complete this journey, if I'm able to document this journey, I was not very sure, Neelam, that which news channel is going to show this documentary. Because at that point of time also, when this people were migrating, thousands of people were migrating, you must be aware that all news channels, including Hindi and English, they were showing Tablighi Jamaat for weeks. They were not focusing on migration. They were not focusing on these people. So that was one of my apprehension, because I am taking risk of my life with my crew. We are traveling for 1,232 kilometers with 7 migrant laborers, and as a storyteller, or as a journalist, or as a filmmaker, it is your responsibility that whatever you have captured, people should know that, people should aware about it. It should come out. But while shooting this film documentary, and while coming back, I was there was apprehension in my mind that, you know, I was not very sure about that which news channel is going to show this documentary. And when I reached back, I started editing the film. I approached many news channels. Everyone said, "Oh, mind blowing! You did an amazing job." But no one was ready to air this document. And suddenly, I don't know, it was God was very kind. So I don't know how come. Maybe because of there was some news report published about my journey. So maybe after that, suddenly people from Netflix, people from Amazon, people from Disney Hotstar, they started approaching me. Then I thought, okay, this is going to bigger now. So finally we decided for Disney Hotstar, and after that, after completing that journey, I thought that now I should write a book also.
But will you say that the mainstream media completely ignored the plight of the migrants, the laborers in the first wave? But there were a number of digital media and especially social media, which was quite crucial, and it was documenting their voices.
Yeah, very right. And I would like to salute to all of them, including the print, the Quint, NDTV, Scroll, News Laundry. They were the only people who were showing plight of these people, who were showing the plight of migrant laborers. All your reporters were on ground. But Neelam, my point is the people, the common people.
Yes.
See, the digital platform, their reach is still to people like me, to South Bombay, South Delhi, But if you want to reach to Badaयूं, Jhansi, Bareilly, Pilibhit, Shahjahanpur, Rewa, Bastar, so how people are going to understand that what is happening in a country? So it is responsibility of mainstream media to show the actual reality, show the truth. But they were completely in a different zone altogether. They were setting a different agenda. They were setting a different narrative. So I agree that digital platform did amazing job. Heads off to them. But their reach is very small. Their reach is only till elite people who can write, who can read English, who can watch, who have computers and all. And especially, I would say, English digital platforms, they did really well. But at the same time, we need to think that unka reach kitna hai? That's the problem.
Right.
They can't reach to the people of Bastar, a small villager. They can't reach to the people of these 7 laborers. They can't reach to these 7 laborers. They don't know that what Quint is all about, what print is all about. They understand that टीवी में ही आया था, व्हाट्सएप में ही आया था, टीवी में ऐसा दिखा रहे हैं, टीवी में दिखा रहे हैं कि मुसलमानों ने पूरा कोरोना फैला दिया. So when thousands people from 20 cities, Hyderabad, Nasik, Pune, Mumbai, Aurangabad, Surat, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Ambala, Ghaziabad, Delhi, thousands people were migrating from these cities. I would say that at least 20 big cities. What are mainstream media, what this news channels were showing, that this Tablighi Jamaat ne corona phela diya.
Well, I was reading the book, and one thing that I found interesting was the fact that you mentioned that you covered this journey in your, WagonR car. So many would have, obviously have asked you this question: why did you not help or extend help to the 7 men? Why did you not give them a lift? And in your own words, I'm saying that, were you also turning their tragedy into an opportunity?
yes and no, I would say, but at the same time, they were seven initially. When we got to know about them, there were 30 people, but after that they divided, and there were seven people, and they wanted to be together, number one. And number two, whenever there was some crisis, we really helped them. If you have read the book, there are many uh, instances where we kind of went out of our way and tried to help them. uh, as I explained earlier also, it is always a very tough for any storyteller, any filmmaker, that where should he or she draw the line. But we were very clear that this, yes, this documentary, this journey, this story is important for us, but not at the cost of their lives. So whenever uh, they were in some kind of crisis, we really helped them. And as far as the lift for seven people is concerned, the Wagoner R car is a very small car, and we have our equipments also in our back seat. And there were seven people with their some stuff, so it was quite impossible.
Do you think the government should have done differently? What is it that the government could have done differently? Because the government said that, this lockdown is not something which only India, had imposed, other countries also did it.
See, we understand that that lockdown was important, no doubt about it. But my only thing is about the timing. People like Ritesh Rambabu, or millions of people like Ritesh Rambabu, they government should, before taking such decisions, government should understand about the plight of these people, lives of these people. And with the notice of 4 hours, how do you expect that these people are going to trust you? There was a trust deficit. Next day, government tried to announce some measures that they are going to help, they are going to arrange some ration, but tab tak bahut der ho chuki thi. So I would say that it was a bad timing. And government should have at least people should have got 1 to 2 weeks before the lockdown. Government should have given them 1 to 2 weeks time.
And how do you think the journey has changed you? You also undertook that same journey with these seven men. How has that changed you?
Yeah, it really changed me a lot, Neelam, I would say. When before this journey, this my whenever people used to come to my house, the carpenter or the mistri, I would admit honestly that I never asked their name. I thought koi thekedar ne bheja hai, so he'll come and he'll do whatever things he has to do, or a plumber, or the tile worker. I never asked their name. I never asked about their families, about their village, about their home. I never asked. But after this journey, and I never asked about the guy who delivers fish to me. His number was saved in my mobile as a Fishwala Sector 37 market. But now that Fishwala has a name. He has a name, Vishwanath Fish. That I know that his name is Vishwanath, because and now I know that the guy who served me mutton, his name is Khalid. So, and now I know that people who come to my house for any kind of job, I know their name. So I think after completing this journey, those nameless, faceless people have names, and whosoever is going to read this book, I would say that he or she will definitely fall in love with these people, and they will start respecting them. They will start caring for them. They will start, they will be kind to them.
Well, we've seen that, the lockdown has also been imposed in other states this time too. Do you think the government, state governments as well as the central government, they have, performed in a better manner in terms of migrant laborers, or do you think it's just that we are not hearing their voices?
The fact is, Neelam, that we are not hearing their voices. Why? Because now the entire focus is on, and which is rightly also, when this lockdown was announced in Delhi, or whether in other cities, other states also, and the entire focus was on the issue of lives of the people. There was an oxygen crisis, there was a bed crisis, there was a hospital crisis, there was medicine crisis. People were dying, they were falling like leaves. So the entire focus of media was on that thing, and which was right also. So, but this time also, thousands of people migrated, but this time the trains were running, bus services were, all bus services were running. So, but people migrated, 1,000 people migrated, but we didn't focus them, because I understand that this time it was important for all platforms, all media organization to focus on the lives of people, because every day thousands of thousands of people were dying. So that was more important.
What are some of the things that you did not know about earlier, and it is only while going through this journey with these 7 men that you got to know about, especially about the pandemic? How did they undertook this journey, the problems that they faced, and then you realize, oh, I had never thought about these things, and now that I have been part of their journey, I realize these are also issues that have to be tackled.
Yeah. So one of the thing which I was very surprised and I was very shocked when they reached a village called, there was a village near Bijnor, or before Bijnor, there was a village, and they were thirsty. They thought that they will go to some village hand pump, or a government hand pump, and they will get water for themselves. So when they reached there, few local villagers, few villagers came and they said, "यहाँ पानी नहीं पी सकते आप लोग." So I was also surprised. So I said, "Why?" Because I was also surprised. So then he said, "आप लोग कहाँ से आ रहे? लोग कहाँ से आ रहे?" So they said, "गाजियाबाद." हाँ, the गाजियाबाद में तो बहुत कोरोना फैला हुआ है ना. So you can't drink water from here. You can't touch here. So I was shocked. I tried to explain them that उससे कुछ नहीं होगा. वो नहीं सर, किसी से भी हो सकता है, किसी से भी हो सकता है. So I was aware that I am from Uttarakhand. I have never seen a issue of untouchability there, because Uttarakhand is, kind of, there are 90% people are upper caste there. 95% people are upper caste in Uttarakhand. But I am aware about Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Then how the caste system works and how the issue of untouchability is there between different caste and all. So for me, this was a new kind of untouchability, that if you are coming from Delhi or Ghaziabad, you are definitely carrying a virus and you can't touch that hand pump. And when we reached near Bisoli, at least one of the dhaba owner, he blatantly refused. That he also said that you people are coming from Delhi, Noida, and Ghaziabad, so I won't allow you inside. So then I realized that, and these people also asked me, Ashish, the 7 laborers, कि सर हम लोग हमारे गांव जाएंगे तो हमारे साथ हमारे गांव में भी यही व्यवहार होगा क्या? So these people asked me. So I said, yeah, maybe they will quarantine you, but this is definitely going to happen. So the kind of divide that this virus created, that maybe these people are carrying a virus. And now I'm shooting my another film in which I can see that divide, because now I'm shooting the family members. The family members are not the son is not touching a dead body of his father. The son is not coming for the last rites of his father. I'm shooting that documentary right now. So this now the divide is kind of in the family also. I can see that people are not, whenever they got to know that my father or the brother or the mother is COVID, and when they die. So I'm one of my character, which the life I am following is a Jitendra Singh Shanti, who is a 60-year-old guy who runs a crematorium, who runs a NGO, and he's every day he was cremating 70 to 80 dead bodies. So I was following his life. He was getting calls from people. सर मेरे फादर की डेथ हो गई, उनकी बॉडी को हम लोग घर में नहीं रख सकते हैं, घर में रखना भी नहीं चाहते हैं, आप क्या उनको अपने साथ ले जाएंगे? So he was like responding to him, अरे वो आपके फादर हैं, आप उनकी बॉडी को घर में रख लीजिए सैनिटाइज करके. नहीं सर, वो हम लोग इतना रिस्क नहीं लेना चाहते. So that kind of divide this virus is created. Last year I saw that villages were not allowing to touch these people their hand pump. But this year I was shocked that many people and educated people, they are not coming to the last rites of their family members. Lavaris chhod diya, abandoned completely.
Well, one last question. Are you in touch with these 7 men? What did they have to say about the book? Have they seen it?
Yeah. I'm in constant touch with all of them, and all 7 of them are like our family members. They whatever happened with them in their family, good, bad, ugly, whatever happened with them, they just inform me. Ritesh has become a father now. He shared his picture of his son recently. So they don't understand much about this documentary or the book kind of thing. But when this documentary film was started streaming on Hotstar, I invited all of them at my home here in Noida. We watched film together. They completely loved it, and they said, "Sir, आपने तो हम लोगों को हीरो बना दिया है. हम लोग का तो बारे में कहाँ सब लोग बात कर रहा है." So they were very happy, and monetarily also we tried to help them. Whatever we got from the film, a good amount we distributed between all of them. And now I have decided that my all royalties from this book will go to these 7 people.
That's wonderful.
My royalties. I'm not talking about HarperCollins. My royalties will go to these 7 people. And there's a very special bond now. And they are not any more labor for me. They are like my family member, extended family members. So whenever I think about that journey, whenever I think about these 7 people, I always get emotional. So they are not any more labels for me. They are part of my family now.
Well, this book really makes you think and think hard. Thank you so much for being with us, and best wishes for the book.
Thank you so much, Neelam. Thank you so much.